was a girl like screaming and like crying for help, and it sounded really scary.
A man on a bike opens fire on a group of friends. Gun violence in the city's King West Village.
A man and woman shot and seriously injured. The hunt for the suspect tonight. Good evening. Investigators describe it as a violent and brazen act.
The victim suffering life-altering injuries. The gunman still out there. Witnesses sharing details of what unfolded early this morning. CTV's Beth McDonnell is live at the scene near King and Sudbury with the latest on the investigation. Beth.
This double shooting has really rattled people living in and around this densely populated townhouse complex. Not only were a man and woman seriously injured, bullets also flew, damaging properties. Scattered signs of trouble could be seen around the townhouse complex. A pair of heels, a fallen purse, and clothing surrounded by evidence markers. The early morning screams catching the attention of neighbors.
She was just screaming really loud. I could vaguely hear like call 911 being said. I couldn't hear exactly what she was saying, but it was definitely like a very loud panic voice where you're like, yeah, you have to call 911 right away when you hear something like that.
Toronto police say around 2:45 in the morning in the area of Sudbury and King Streets near Liberty Village, a man and woman in their 30s were shot, both seriously hurt with life-threatening injuries. It's believed the suspect did not know the victims.
A group of friends were walking in the area when they were approached by a male riding a bike. Words were exchanged and the group continued on their way. A short time later, the same individual approached them again, pulled out a firearm and fired several rounds.
Those who heard the gunfire tell CTV News there were as many as 9 shots, but that it was also hard to pinpoint an exact number. Many describing a loud noise like a motorcycle or dirt bike.
It was just a motorcycle really revving it up and then backing right off, and kind of a backfiring on their mufflers.
It's pretty shocking because it just happened right outside the window, so it's pretty scary. I just learned that my neighbor's window was shot through the bullet, like it was being broken, and some garages around here were also shot.
This man, who didn't want to appear on camera, was watching TV when the violence unfolded. He came out to see what was going on.
There was a girl, she didn't have her shirt on. And I think she must have been using that to help with the stop the bleeding, because there was a man on the ground on his back just in the middle of that alleyway there. And then it wasn't until maybe like 20 minutes later we found out that there was somebody actually right behind this white car.
This is a violent and brazen act, and we're urging anyone who may have seen something or has video of the area, whether it's security or dash cam footage, to please contact our investigators.
Police described the suspect as male and on a bike. They say he took off on Sudbury Street going west. Tonight, police say both victims remain in hospital and face long recoveries. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Zoraida, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. There are new developments in a shooting captured on security footage earlier this year in Markham. Investigators are intensifying their search for the suspect. This video is from the evening of January 21st near Lee Avenue and Noble Street. Police say a woman exited her home to speak with the suspect, seen wearing a high-visibility vest and construction helmet. He then opened fire as she walked back inside, sending her to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Today, York Police issued a Canada-wide warrant for the suspect, who they have identified as 35-year-old Chow Chen of Markham. He is wanted on charges including attempted murder. Investigators are asking the public for information on his whereabouts, but say not to approach if you see him, as he is considered armed and dangerous.
Also tonight, talks are back on between Air Canada and its unionized flight attendants, but the clock is ticking to avoid travel turbulence as plans are in motion for a nationwide day of action next week.
We turn now to the teenage tennis sensation whose stunning win last night has earned her a spot in sports history.
Burlington's Victoria Mboko taking the top title at the National Bank Open. Her incredible rise inspiring young athletes and tennis fans everywhere. CTV's John Musselman joins us with more on last night's big win reaction and where Mboko goes from here. I think it's up.
Yeah, it was a really thrilling victory for her last night. We talked to a lot of local tennis players who were watching that match. They call her an inspiration, and they think this will be great for Canadian tennis.
Overcome with emotion, Victoria Mboko dropped to her knees after winning the National Bank Open final in Montreal last night.
What an incredible story.
The 18-year-old, who grew up in Burlington, is the latest Canadian tennis star, climbing towards the top of the tennis world.
To have such an achievement at a tournament like this is really a milestone for me, and I'm just so happy that I obviously don't have this whole experience in Montreal. And overall, I didn't have many words to say, but I just feel so content and so happy.
Mboko rallied from a first-set loss to defeat four-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka of Japan.
She was patient out there. She really was selective in when she would go for it with a big shot, whether it was on her forehand or backhand or another big serve.
Mboko has jumped in the rankings right up to 24th in women's singles. Meanwhile, back in Toronto, Mboko's win caused a brief pause in the men's final when the crowd broke out in cheers. The players seemed a bit confused at first until they realized what the cheering was all about. Meanwhile, local tennis players and fans say Mboko's win is great for the growth of Canadian tennis.
She's the real deal. I think she's going to be a top player in years to come.
She's a great role model for all young Canadian tennis players out there.
I think it means a lot to Canadian tennis.
It was really great seeing her win and seeing the crowd just cheer her on.
Well, I think it was great for Canadian tennis and great for women's tennis and great for juniors. There's a lot of great thing to happen. She's a great role model.
Mboko will take a bit of a break as she prepares for the U.S. Open at the end of the month.
And part of that break will be to rest up a sore wrist she was experiencing during the Montreal tournament. Also, she won $750,000 yesterday for that victory, and she becomes the highest-ranked Canadian woman tennis player. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, John.
It's into the net. This August night belongs to Ben Shelton.
And as John mentioned, there was also the men's final here in Toronto at Sobeys Stadium. 22-year-old American Ben Shelton beat Russian Karen Khachanov in 3 sets. It's his first ATP Tour title of the season and third of his career. Shelton will move up 1 position to a career best 6th spot when the new world rankings are released on Monday.
Let's have a peek outside as we head into another summer weekend. So much to see and do when the weather is going to be sunny and sizzling, much like what's happening at Jerkfest tonight. Jessica Smith joins us live from there at Centennial Park in Etobicoke. Tell us more, Jess.
Listen, Michelle, I've already had a sample of jerk chicken and some festivals. The DJ is going. It's going to be a fantastic night and a fantastic weekend, but it is very warm. Despite the bit of a breeze they have out here at Centennial Park, it is still really hot outside. So hydrating with water is a good idea, but we are under that heat warning here in the GTA and across the majority of Southern Ontario and the province is seeing some kind of warning or statement in place. Expected to be in there throughout the weekend, so just be mindful again of spending your time outside. Yes, we want to make the most of the weekend, whether you're going to Jerkfest or to the cottage, but you want to be careful. Still seeing some haze out there. The wildfire smoke has improved a little throughout Southern Ontario, but we're not entirely done with it just yet. Temperature-wise, it is beautiful this evening. The breeze definitely helping. Some pop-up showers, but nothing super organized, making its way kind of areas just north, east, and west of the GTA. We're sitting in that kind of mid-20 range, still feeling into the 30s, and as we head into the rest of our evening, it gets warm and it stays warm. Through the islands and Pearson, still 27, 29 apiece, feeling into the mid-30s. Tonight, we'll sit at 22. It'll feel like 28. We should be at 17. But you know where the heat is not an issue? It's here at Jerkfest. We'll have more on your forecast and from Jerkfest later on in the show. But for now, I'll send things back inside.
Thank you, Jess. And as those festivities get underway in Etobicoke, they're far from the only major events taking place this weekend. Several other staples of the summer cultural calendar are returning to the city.
Crowds are heading to the exhibition grounds this evening for the start of the Toronto Waterfront Night Market. Now in its 16th year, organizers say the event is a uniquely local take on an Asian night market featuring floating lanterns and a music festival. The market runs through till Sunday.
Then tomorrow, the Toronto Chinatown Festival kicks off its 25th annual event at Spadina in Dundas. It's billed as a celebration of culture and community and is set to feature international street food and performances, including lion and dragon dances.
Also this weekend, football fans will be heading to BMO Field to catch tomorrow's game between the Toronto Argonauts and the Ottawa Red Blacks. It's scheduled to start at 3 p.m. Toronto FC will be on the road facing the Philadelphia Union at Subaru Park.
Also tonight, Canada's armed forces are getting a pay raise. The Prime Minister announcing billions to beef up recruitment efforts. We'll tell you how much will flow to those who serve.
We turn now to a mystery surrounding a major police investigation at a homeless encampment in Barrie.
It began more than a week ago, and today officials fenced off the entire site next to an industrial area. One man has been arrested, but police aren't saying much more about the case. CTV's Luc Simon reports.
For 9 straight days, Barrie police have had this encampment area behind me blocked off. No one in and no one out. Now, fencing put up by the city of Barrie is now in place, and it remains unclear how long the fencing will stay as Barrie police continues their investigation. Forensic officers deep inside this wooded area entering the investigation site. Late last week, Barrie police said they were conducting an investigation but were vague on what for and for how long. More than a week later, they remain silent. Former OPP Commissioner Chris Lewis says he's surprised by the lack of information from police given the scope of the investigation.
And they're keeping fairly tight-lipped, which is really uncommon in this day and age when the police generally should be giving more information than less when they can. So this has to be something significant.
Here is what we know. August 1st, Barrie police began a search for this man, 52-year-old Robert Ledeseur, listing him as the primary suspect. He was arrested in Midland Saturday, August 2nd, with assistance from Southern Georgian Bay OPP. A couple of brief court appearances later, he is facing 19 charges, 17 of them weapons-related. Barrie police have decided to keep everyone in the dark, leading to frustration.
It certainly causes rumors in the community. There will be everything, all kinds of rumors from X to Y involved in this. But there, once again, there has to be a good reason that Barrie police aren't releasing information given the 9 days.
Given the area blocked off and the length of time, Lewis adds there's likely complex layers to this investigation.
9 days, and in this specific location, they must be silting through sand and dirt and screening a dig or something to that effect.
The Ministry of Environment also arrived on scene Friday, but requests for information have gone unanswered. Again, it is unclear how long Barrie police will remain here and how long the construction fence will stay put up. None of the allegations against Robert Ledeseur have been proven in court. Luc Simard, CTV News, Barrie.
A second arrest has been made in the fatal shooting of an international student struck by a stray bullet in Hamilton. 21-year-old Harsimrat Randhawa died on April 17th after being hit by gunfire while waiting for a bus at Upper James and South Bend Road. Police say 26-year-old Obisi Okafor was arrested yesterday in North York and charged with 3 counts of attempted murder. A 32-year-old man was charged with first-degree murder in the case on Tuesday. Police say at least 7 people in 4 cars were involved in a dispute that led to the shooting.
Meanwhile, Toronto police say a third teen is in custody after a deadly stabbing last month in the Beaches. 14-year-old Abdul Aziz Sar was stabbed inside of a McDonald's near Coxwell and Eastern Avenue on July 5th. 2 16-year-old boys had previously surrendered to police. Well, now the homicide unit says a third 16-year-old has turned himself in. All 3 suspects face a charge of first-degree murder.
And Toronto police have upgraded the charges laid in a shooting last weekend. Police responded to shots fired near John and Adelaide Street Saturday night. They found 36-year-old Jeshua Gabriel Bakun suffering from gunshot wounds. Yesterday, investigators said he died in hospital. 26-year-old Mitch Rambali and 22-year-old Steve Ganesh were already in custody. An aggravated assault charge against Rambali has now been upgraded to second-degree murder.
York Regional Police have made an arrest in a violent jewelry distraction robbery caught on camera. And we want to warn you, this video may be difficult to watch. It happened on July 15th in a plaza near Yonge Street and Canyon Hill Avenue in Richmond Hill. A 78-year-old woman can be seen falling to the ground after she is struck by an SUV. Someone else then approaches and physically handles the victim while appearing to search her belongings. Police say they have since arrested and charged the driver of the rented white Nissan Rogue. Investigators believe 35-year-old Radu Orasal is part of a criminal network of foreign nationals operating in York Region. They are searching for 2 other suspects and have asked anyone with information to get in touch. They also say the victim is expected to fully recover.
The job market is tough for a growing number of Canadians this summer, especially young people. 41,000 jobs were lost in July, driven largely by people in their late teens and early 20s.
But the overall unemployment rate remains stable. CTV's Abigail Beeman has the latest snapshot of the Canadian economy.
Noah Kelly has been applying everywhere with no luck, and the timing is urgent.
I'm getting evicted because I lost my job, my last job, and now I can't make my rent.
The unemployment rate for those 15 to 24 hit 14.6 in July. That's the highest since 2010, excluding 2 COVID years.
It's been incredibly difficult to find a job, especially as a person who doesn't have experience previously.
Overall, there were 41,000 job losses in July compared to 83,000 gains in June. Hardest hit, full-time workers, down 51,000. The Prime Minister pointed to wage growth as a good sign.
That, combined with the tax cut that we put in place, combined with the removal of the consumer carbon tax and other measures, progress on cost of living. Just to be clear, progress. We're not satisfied that that's enough. There's much more that needs to be done.
But these government workers involved in student hiring say Mark Carney's looming savings targets are already making a difference in their departments.
Hiring this summer has been difficult. You have to look at every specific detail and make sure that this student can be funded.
Less departments are interested because they have less money, they have to cut spending.
Perhaps surprisingly, with the trade war, manufacturing jobs didn't see a big hit, with RBC economists saying CUSMA has softened the blow.
Things are definitely softer. This is not an ideal environment by any stance, but perhaps it's just not as severe of a shock as, what was feared earlier in the spring.
RBC cautiously optimistic that unemployment rate will peak soon, around 7%, and also predicting no further interest rate cuts from the Bank of Canada. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
The union representing about 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants says Pearson and 3 other airports will be affected during what it calls a nationwide day of action on Monday. CUPE says it wants members to show unified support for their bargaining committee. The airline and the union are still negotiating, but the flight attendants voted 99.7% in favor of a strike mandate on Tuesday, so they could begin job action on August 16th. The simultaneous action on Monday will begin at 1 p.m. at Pearson and at airports in Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary. The flight attendants are seeking higher wages and the elimination of unpaid labor.
The federal government is spending $2 billion to give soldiers a pay increase in an effort to keep them in the military and to recruit new members.
The Prime Minister made the announcement at CFB Trenton today, the country's largest Air Force base. But as CTV national correspondent Judy Trin tells us, Canada is still short thousands of troops.
All members of the Canadian Armed Forces will receive a pay raise.
In front of a wall of soldiers at the country's largest Air Force base, the Prime Minister said it was time to recognize the worth of the Canadian Armed Forces.
These are the men and women we trust to wear the maple leaf, the Canadian flag, and to risk their lives for it. Their pay, your pay, should reflect the weight of your responsibilities.
The government will spend $2 billion to increase the salaries for the rank and file. Non-commissioned officers will see raises of between 8 and 20%. An entry-level soldier will now get an additional $700 a month and earn more than $52,000 a year. After he met with soldiers at CFB Trenton, the Prime Minister said better compensation was needed to recruit and retain soldiers to meet current global challenges, not just Russia and China, but also climate change.
The Arctic's melting. Our wildfires and floods are more frequent and devastating. And these are all threats to which the Canadian Armed Forces responds.
For the first time, soldiers will get daily bonus pay when they are deployed on domestic missions to help Canadians during natural disasters. Bonuses will also be given to officers who are deployed to serve in the Arctic and who are deployed overseas. Retention bonuses will also be offered for soldiers who take on additional training. The country's top soldier says this should allow Canada to make up a shortfall of more than 12,700 soldiers before 2030.
We have increased the target for recruits this year. We're at 7,600, which is about 1,000 more than last year. And this is how we are going to gain back to full strength.
Defense officials say this is the biggest pay raise for soldiers since 1998. It also contributes to Canada's commitment to making its 2% NATO target by the end of this fiscal year. Judy Trin, Canadian Forces Base, Trenton.
Advance polls are now open in an Alberta by-election that could return Pierre Poilievre to the House of Commons. Voters can cast their ballots in the riding of Battle River Crowfoot. The Conservative member there stepped aside to allow his party leader to run in the by-election set for August 18th. Poilievre is a candidate after losing his Ottawa seat in the April federal election. For the by-election, voters must fill out a blank ballot for the first time ever, as a record 214 candidates are running. The majority of the other candidates are part of a protest group calling for changes to Canada's electoral system. Yesterday, Poilievre criticized the longest ballot campaign that also targeted his riding in the general election.
But that's not what these people are doing. They're adding their names even though they're not campaigning. They don't expect to win. They just want to inundate the ballot to confuse the situation, make it harder for people to vote, people with vision problems, the elderly, others who have difficulty are going to have a harder time voting, and it shouldn't be allowed.
Advance polls are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the next 4 days.
Israel's defense minister says international criticism, including from Canada, of his country's plan to take over Gaza will not weaken its resolve. The United Nations Security Council is set to discuss the plan tomorrow, while Hamas has vowed fierce resistance. CTV's Michael Couture has the latest.
These displaced families already have so little, and now they're losing hope. Israel's threat of military expansion into Gaza has many Palestinians dejected. There's nothing left to occupy. There is no Gaza left. There is nothing left but dust, she says. Late Thursday, Israel's security cabinet approved a plan to take over Gaza City by military force. The UN calls it deeply alarming.
It is clear that this would risk catastrophic consequences for millions of Palestinians and could further endanger the lives of the remaining hostages in Gaza.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the plan is not to occupy Gaza, posting on social media, Gaza will be demilitarized and a peaceful civilian administration will be established, one that is not the Palestinian Authority, not Hamas, and not any other terrorist organization. Netanyahu says the plan will help free hostages who've been held for 22 months. But families of those held captive say taking over Gaza is not the solution.
The Israeli government decided on a path that we hostage families feel puts at danger the living hostages as well as the deceased hostages that never will be found.
Prime Minister Mark Carney joined a growing chorus of world leaders condemning Israel's actions.
This is wrong. That this action is not going to contribute to an improvement in the humanitarian situation on the ground.
Germany has gone one step further, suspending all military exports to Israel that could be used in Gaza. A decision applauded by protesters outside the Israeli embassy in Ottawa.
We would like to see a full and unconditional arms embargo, and we would also desperately like to see secure and safe aid making its way into Gaza.
Canadian forces have helped airdrop aid into Gaza, but Prime Minister Carney added, we are seeing the erosion of the possibility of a two-state solution. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Former astronaut Jim Lovell has passed away. He was the commander of the Apollo 13 moon mission.
Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Cleveland, Ohio, and became an astronaut in 1962 at the age of 35. He was a four-time space flight veteran and the first man to journey twice to the moon. He was played by Tom Hanks in the film version Apollo 13. Jim Lovell was 97.
Meanwhile, 4 astronauts are heading back to Earth following almost 5 months at the International Space Station. The hatches between a SpaceX craft and the orbiting lab were closed shortly after 4 this afternoon. The crew is now undocked from the space station. The astronauts are scheduled to splash down in the Pacific Ocean off the California coast shortly after 11:30 tomorrow morning. The crew was supposed to leave earlier this week, but it was postponed because of the weather.
Coming up, a journey into blindness, the immersive experience featuring blind performers sharing a powerful message.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, you seem to see them everywhere these days. E-bikes. If you're thinking of buying one, they can have big differences. Some will give you a boost when you're pedaling, while others will do all the work for you. We have the latest tests. That story is just ahead.
We are live from Jerkfest. If you're heading out anywhere this evening in Southern Ontario, you're going to feel the heat. We're now under a heat warning that's going to be in place for the next couple of days. So as you get out and make your summertime plans, make sure you have lots of water included in that. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including more information on Jerkfest if you're going to make your way down throughout the weekend. I'll have all those details coming up after the break. And if you're heading to the cottage, make sure you have water. It's going to be hot.
Electric bikes or e-bikes can make riding a bicycle a breeze, but they may not be so easy on your wallet.
The latest e-bikes can cost thousands of dollars, so you want to make sure you do your homework before you buy one. Here's Pat Foran with a Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Zoraida. E-bikes have become extremely popular in part because you don't need a license or insurance to ride one. In Ontario, electric bikes are not allowed to go faster than 32 kilometers an hour or have a motor exceeding 500 watts. From horns and whistles to turn signals and extra cargo space, e-bikes offer plenty of features, and they're a great option for many different lifestyles, according to Consumer Reports.
There's generally 2 reasons people buy an e-bike. Either they're getting back into biking, and it's helpful getting over those hills or flattening the hills, or they're using it to commute, and it's replacing a vehicle.
There are 2 main types of e-bikes. Pedal assist bikes have an electric motor that kicks in when you pedal. The other uses an electric motor plus a throttle that gets the bike going without any pedaling. You can find e-bikes for a few $100s, but the top performing models typically cost between $2,000 and $3,000.
We look at how far you could get with them before the battery dies, the acceleration, hill climbing, speed control, braking, of course, and then we take a look at how well the bike performs when the battery dies.
For commuting, the top pick is this Haybike City Run. It has an electric throttle and a battery with a 50-kilometer range. It sells for about $2,300. Some models now offer more cargo space, headlights, taillights, and turn signals. With more e-bikes on the road, there has also been an increase in e-bike injuries. So no matter which type you have, it's recommended you always wear a helmet. And if you're new to riding, take your time before going on busy streets. Read the manual and practice in a safe area until you get a feel for your bike and are comfortable riding it. And generally speaking, e-bikes are not allowed to be ridden on the sidewalk. They can be taken on most roads and bike lanes where regular bikes go. Everyone is encouraged to wear a helmet, but riders and passengers under 18 legally must wear one. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
So a little tidbit about our Jessica Smith on this Friday. She knows a lot about weather, but she also happens to be our resident aficionado on all things jerk chicken.
Yes, and we know you've already had some there on location, Jess, and we need you to rate it. How was it on this hot and spicy day?
Listen, a 12 out of 10, and I'm an unofficial jerk chicken specialist, but I mean, I talk about jerk chicken, I think, every single day at work, so this is the perfect assignment for me, and we're here at Jerkfest at Centennial Park. I want to bring in Greg. You're the president of the board of Jerkfest. For someone who's never been, what can they expect?
Oh, they can expect the best in the Caribbean cuisine. They can expect jerk everything. We jerk every animal that there is. And of course, world-class entertainment, all right? And that is the energy, the smell, and the sights of Jerkfest.
And how long is it going on for the folks who don't know? Maybe they can't come today, but can they come over the weekend?
Oh, most certainly. It started last night and it is here today and will be Saturday and Sunday. So it's a 4-day festival, essentially.
Listen, you have me at jerk chicken or jerk everything, and I want to bring in Chef Nicholas. Now, you won Best Jerk last year. How do you top that coming into a brand new year?
Well, I said I have to bring my A+ game because, you know, they're coming. They're coming. Like the other vendors, they want to win. They want to have the best jerk. So, yeah, I did some little extra, you know, rubbings with my hand to get it there.
So, can you give us your secret or no?
I'm going to give you a little, but not all the secrets. So, the way how we marinate our chicken, it's different from anyone else. Like we have a unique way how we marinate our chicken, and that's why we're number one.
Listen, you can come on down. You can try Trick Nick Jerk Center because Nicholas has got that covered for you. Thank you guys so much. I want to talk more about jerk chicken, and this is something I talk about often, but I have to also get to your forecast. Nicholas, we're going to come over a little bit later and get some of that food. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. And whether you're coming down to Jerkfest or you're maybe heading up to the cottage or you're spending any time outside this weekend, it is going to be hot. We are under a special weather statement in parts of Quebec, and in Ontario, we are under that heat warning blanketing almost the entire province. So just take care. Yes, get out, enjoy your weekend, but you have to do it safely. Now, temperature-wise, as we head right across the province, it is warm everywhere. That ridge in the jet stream really bringing that heat, not just in the food here at Jerkfest, but the heat everywhere across Ontario. Now, temperature-wise, as we head in towards the evening, we don't lose any of that heat. We'll sit at 22. It'll feel like 28. We should be at 17, and everybody feeling the warmth tonight. Now, stepping into the day tomorrow, we're still dealing with a little bit of haze out there, but the bulk of it does move out. We get a little bit of a break, but we are in heat warning territory. 32 feeling like 40, and that's the same almost right across the Golden Horseshoe. A few pop-up showers in southern Ontario this evening and into the mid-afternoon tomorrow, but nothing super organized. So if you have dry grass, or maybe you are a producer, one of our many producers in the province, I don't have great news when it comes to significant rain in the 7-day forecast. Going through your forecast radar, again, pop-up showers north of the city, but overall, relatively dry as we head in towards our evening. And kicking off your Saturday, we're already feeling close to 30 with the humidex by 9 a.m. Perhaps a pop-up shower early afternoon around the GTA, but nothing, again, very organized. And then as we head in towards your Sunday, more heat, more sunshine, more humidity. But you know what? We are in the dog days of summer, and I know a lot of folks are really, really enjoying the heat. But again, check on the people around you. Heat exhaustion can happen very quickly. Heading in towards your Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we are into the 30s, feeling into the 40s with the humidex. That is why we are in that heat warning. Heading in towards Tuesday, we don't necessarily break, but we do get a little bit cooler. And then by Wednesday and onward, hopefully a few showers will go on and make their way through and break up some of that humidity, but we still hit 28 Wednesday and onward. So we're holding on just above that seasonal point. But you know what? We are holding on to this warmth. I know it feels like summer only lasts a few seconds in this country, but the good news is, at least here at Centennial Park, you got all the heat and the spice. I'm going to send things back inside.
So nice. Thank you so much, Jess. Enjoy. We'll talk to you later. And still to come, a chip off the old block. Vladdy's daughter in the spotlight as the Blue Jays star slugger's little girl shows what she can do on the mound.
A legally blind Toronto woman is bringing her experience of losing her sight to the stage.
It's an immersive experience called Rainbow on Mars. And as CTV's Pauline Chan tells us, it includes other blind performers and dancers from the National Ballet.
Devin Healy grew up with a genetic form of blindness that eventually left her legally blind in her final year of theater college.
One day in particular, it made itself noticeable to me. And this noticing of blindness visually and physically in my body completely shifted.
She can only see a circle of light around her main field of vision, but she says she has no desire to have her vision restored.
At first, I didn't understand it as for the better. It was quite devastating and confusing. But as I opened myself up to the world in a new way through blindness, it opened up not only theater, but also academia and now dance to come together in I think, a really exciting and dynamic way.
And that has resulted in Rainbow on Mars, a production that brings the audience along to experience her journey into blindness. It includes several other performers who are also blind, and even dancers from the National Ballet.
The hope is that we disturb the isolation of the senses a little bit, and so you kind of slow down a little bit and think, maybe I can't trust my eyes in the way I thought I could. Or maybe sight is playing a bit of a trick on me and I should listen a little bit closer to what blindness is telling me.
I love both how personal and universal Devon's story is. So it's this story is very personal to Devon's own experience. It's allegorically about her moving into blindness. But I also think on a larger level, the piece has something to say about anyone who has a moment of realizing they're a little bit different or that they perceive the world in a different way.
Co-director Mitchell Cushman says the production will be an immersive experience.
We're always looking to create theater that's an active experience for our audiences. You're not only going to experience those elements with your eyes, but with your whole body.
The limited engagement runs from August 9th to the 20th at Daniels Spectrum on Dundas Street East. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The Toronto International Film Festival is unveiling more of its lineup for its 50th anniversary edition. Today's announcements included the Wavelengths program, which celebrates international cinema, as well as more experimental and contemporary selections. The lineup features the North American premiere of Magellan, starring Gael Garcia Bernal and directed by Lab Diaz, and the North American premiere of Nicolas Paredes' Copper. It also features post-apocalyptic film Mare's Nest from director Ben Rivers. The full TIFF schedule will be live next week, with ticket sales to follow. TIFF 50 takes place September 4th through the 14th.
The Weekend returned to the stage at Rogers Centre last night. It was the third of 4 Toronto shows for the Scarborough native on his After Hours Till Dawn tour. This tour marks the last time the artist, Abel Tesfaye, plans to perform under his stage name The Weekend. Concert number 4 is scheduled for this evening.
And a reminder, if you're taking the subway to tonight's concert or elsewhere in the city, service on Line 2 will be ending early between Woodbine and Kennedy stations because of planned track work. Shuttle buses will run from 11 p.m. to the end of service. And a heads up for Sunday, Line 2 service will start at 11 a.m. between St. George and Chester stations so crews can carry out structural maintenance.
Some exciting news for fans of The Office. The first trailer is out for an upcoming spin-off series.
My name is Ned Sampson. I am your new editor-in-chief.
Have you read this paper?
Uh-huh.
How do you think it compares to any other paper?
It sucks.
The series focuses on a different kind of office, one shared between a struggling newspaper and a toilet paper company. It tells the story of one journalist's mission to revitalize the paper with the help of a ragtag group of staffers. It replicates the same mockumentary style that The Office was well known for and promises the return of some familiar faces. The paper debuts on September 4th. Also tonight, a big, much-needed facility to address food insecurity. We visit North York Harvest's soon-to-be new home as they launch a bold new campaign as they aim to better serve the community.
The same individual approached them again, pulled out a firearm, and fired several rounds.
Updating our top stories, Toronto police are investigating what they are calling a brazen shooting early this morning in King West Village. They say a man on a bike opened fire and left a man and woman in their 30s with serious injuries. It's believed the suspect did not know the victims. Police are asking anyone with information to get in touch.
Their pay, your pay, should reflect the weight of your responsibilities.
Prime Minister Mark Carney was at Canadian Forces Base Trenton today announcing pay increases for members of the armed forces. Non-commissioned officers will see wages go up between 8 and 20%. The pay hikes are set to cost $2 billion. They're part of Ottawa's commitment to reach its 2% GDP NATO defense spending commitment by year's end.
It was really great seeing her win and seeing the crowd just cheer her on.
Well, I think it was great for Canadian tennis and great for women's tennis.
And tennis fans are celebrating last night's come-from-behind victory for Burlington's Victoria Mboko in the National Bank Open in Montreal. The 18-year-old rallied from a first-set loss to defeat Japan's Naomi Osaka. She'll be back on the court later this month for the U.S. Open.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar is up a fraction to 72.72 US. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it down to 50.73 a barrel. And the TSX ended the day down a couple of points to 27,758.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Following the collapse of the Hudson's Bay Company, shoppers will start seeing the retailer's iconic stripes appear under the Canadian Tire brand later this year. Canadian Tire CEO Greg Hicks says the company will release some updates and fun initiatives in the coming months, but the launch of a more meaningful product presence will happen in the back half of 2026. HBC sold its intellectual property to Canadian Tire for $30 million in May.
It looks like July was a relatively good month for renters across the country. The national average asking rent is down 3.6% compared to a year earlier to just over $2,100. It also marked the largest drop of 2025 so far and the 10th straight month of year-over-year declines. Here in Ontario, asking rents were down 3% to an average of just over $2,300. North York Harvest Food Bank is launching a new campaign to help fund a massive community food hub. We got a look at their soon-to-be new home on Chesswood Drive near Downsview Park. The group has kicked off its $6 million Crisis to Catalyst initiative, redefining what a food bank can be and shift how food security is addressed in the province. The organization also hopes to strengthen school food programs and train and empower more people for good jobs.
That campaign is going to operationalize the space you see behind me over the next year into a community hub. It's going to dramatically increase the capacity of our organization to distribute emergency food, but perhaps even more importantly, it's going to bring together community groups and other nonprofits so that we can build innovative solutions that deals with food insecurity at its root cause.
North York Harvest hopes to reach its goal by next year when the lease on its current warehouse expires.
The Toronto Blue Jays return to action tonight, beginning a 3-game set against the World Series champions.
2-0. Ripped up the middle into center. Guerrero coming home right behind him. Ty France sprinting into the plate as the throw's cut off. A 2-run single off the bench for Addison Barger. And the Blue Jays are at double digits for the 3rd straight game.
The Jays are looking to build off this week's historic series in Colorado. Toronto collected 63 hits, logging new franchise records for most runs and hits in a 3-game series. This evening, the American League leaders square off against the Dodgers in L.A. Max Scherzer gets the start for the Jays against fellow future Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw.
Well, we know what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. can do at the plate, but he also has a pretty good arm, and it seems that talent has been passed down to the next generation. The Blue Jays have released video of Vladimir Guerrero throwing out the ceremonial first pitch at last Saturday's game. The action is seen from the perspective of her father, who was behind the plate to catch the ball. Afterward, Vladimir performed a secret handshake and Vladdy's signature shush home run celebration. It was her birthday.
That's adorable. Just ahead, ooh la la, grandfather and grandson are building an incredible version of the Eiffel Tower in their back garden. The story behind this impressive replica.
Tonight, a major boost for Canada's armed forces.
Their pay, your pay, should reflect the weight of your responsibilities.
Ottawa is investing billions in a big increase to soldiers' salaries. Later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special hello to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
It It looks like someone took apart the Eiffel Tower and forgot to put it back together.
But this is actually a replica of the world-famous structure being built by a retired metal worker and his grandson. The pair in eastern France are recreating the iconic tower 1/10 of its original size. They've been working on this project for 8 years so far, and it's based on historical plans from a reproduction of the original drawings. The steel structure is supported by 8.5-ton pillars and is set to stand 30 meters when finished. That is slated to happen on August 26th. The former metalworker hopes to sell the replica to recoup the costs of building it.
Very impressive. What's also very impressive is Jessica's love for jerk chicken. Nothing like a hot and spicy meal on a hot and spicy day, Jess.
It's so true. And really, it almost cancels it out. So it's not spicy at all when it's hot weather outside. But we are under that heat warning. So get out and enjoy all the activities happening around the GTA this weekend. Just make sure you're doing it safely. Lots of water, breaks in the shade, and sun protection are so important. As we head right throughout the weekend, we get into the 30s and we stay there. There's overnight lows staying into the 20s as well. Some pop-up showers in and around the GTA, but nothing super organized that's going to rain on your parade as you head throughout your Saturday and Sunday. We're still sitting at 29 through Pearson and feeling like 34, and that's the same really right across the Golden Horseshoe. Now, as you head into the rest of your evening, it gets warm, it stays warm, and as we head into the day tomorrow and on your Saturday, 32, 33, feeling like 40 right through to Monday. So it is going to be extremely hot as we head throughout the weekend, a high UV index as well. So just be careful, get out, have fun, and when in doubt, have jerk chicken. I'll send things back inside.
That's the place to end your shift on a Friday night. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but Marcia McMillan has you covered tonight at 11 for CTV National News, and Sarada is back with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here, thanks for watching. Have a fabulous weekend.
See you at 11:30.